All right, thanks for coming, everyone. And we have a really exciting talk. I'm David from Reciprocal Ventures. I work on the crypto investments team. We're one of the seed investors in Solana, so we've been waiting for this moment for quite some time that developers are now building for gaming. And I also want to give a shout out to Penguin, who made this really cool SMB hoodie. And so a shout out to fellow Monkey DAO members out there. So here are our two really good panelists. Some of the best people in gaming and NFTs are right here, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Dan Din. I am one of the co-founders of TSM. If you guys have been following like FTX and their sponsorship, we got sponsored at the end of June, July, and they've really been pulling me into like the crypto space. And so talk a little bit about more later, but we're also starting a crypto gaming studio.
I'm Jonathan Choi. I'm the CIO and head of partnerships at Metaplex Studios. And as many of you may know, Metaplex is the NFT initiative from Solana.
All right, nice. So I guess play to earn has become this topic that everybody knows now, even some people that don't pay attention to crypto. So Axie Infinity took off, and now people realize like this is the way that you can have millions of users actually using the blockchain. And so I'm kind of curious what you guys think play to earn is and will eventually become, and I'll let you guys discuss.
Yeah, I'll start off in this one. I think for me at a high level, I want to break down play to earn into two parts, right? What is play and what is earn? For me, play is like what you do that's intrinsically motivated for fun or recreation or pleasure. And on the other end, earn, like, hey, how do you turn that recreational behavior into an avenue or a way in which you can, make additional money or make a living out of. And, as I think about this is at a high level, the earn is a way of being, of like using crypto or the blockchain to efficiently move assets around or things that you earn or you achieve in game, either to transfer efficiently from a player to another player or offloading it onto another chain and just selling a token that represents what you work for.
Well, to not add to that, but a fun anecdote, one of our VIP partners, Nyan Heroes, like to say that not play to earn, but play and earn, and that shouldn't be motivated by earning something to play, but rather, why don't you play and have fun and earn at the same time? So
exactly, just like
topic.
Yeah, following up on that, it's like my ethos on play to earn isn't, hey, your sole goal of this game isn't to like, hey, I'm gonna jump in. These are the core loops that I kind of just do every single day to earn a token that then I offset and unload it to somebody else. It should be like, hey, I'm playing this game. I've put years of time into it. I've unlocked certain achievements. I've earned certain things, and right now, the way it works is you play a game, you earn assets in game. When the game dies, your asset dies with you, or dies with the game. And how do you retain those achievements? How do you retain those items where you can at least show people like, hey, this is the work that I've done. This is the work that I've achieved. And so it's more of like, hey, play first for enjoyment and pleasure. The earn is just a representation of your achievement in the game.
Mm-hmm. So how is Solana uniquely suited to be like the chain that could be used for gaming, and do you have any thoughts behind that?
Yeah, I'd love to take that one. I mean, as we know, Solana is the fastest blockchain. So with gaming, the user experience is key. So having that is a big factor. And also it being the most cost efficient plays a big role in that. Well, gamers, will spend quite a lot if they're into the game. But at the end of the day, all the transactions within a game, whether they are related to currency or not, I think having Solana to power that is big.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of like opinion to add to that too. Like when I first heard about Solana, it was about like around like early like March, February, and I was looking at what blockchain has the highest capacity in terms of like transaction per second. And I did my Google search and Solana popped up. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And this was kind of like when I started thinking, I was like, hey, well, let's answer why is transaction per second important? Because, or at least important to crypto and crypto gaming. When you're thinking about crypto gaming, there's just tons of actions that are happening all the time. And also the second thing is the cost of Solana is tremendously low. When you think about like traditional gamers, most players when they buy a box game is like $60. Maybe in a free-to-play transaction, they might spend like $100 or $200 a year. On Solana versus like other blockchains where maybe like the gas fee is like 600 or I mean not 600, 60 to like 200. It's not. I don't know the right word, but it doesn't really facilitate traditional gamers to onboard. So that's like just like initial like opinions.
Let's not forget about scalability, given that there are gamers all over the world. As important as TPS is, but I think scalability will play a big factor in onboarding the next billion gamers onto Solana. And one more thing, we can't forget Metaflex, the protocol. Although not Solana, I think having the protocol as a strategic partner allows gaming studios and gamers alike to leverage NFTs onto the blockchain for unlocking unique capabilities.
Yeah, just like tacking on another thought is like why uniquely Solana? When you think about like onboarding players, as a player, like how do you onboard a lot of people onto blockchain gaming, right? You want to remove as much friction as possible. Right now, there's no layer 2 solution to make it really, really easy for people to say, hey, I want to start playing a crypto game. Here's my credit card, here's my PayPal, and I'm ready to participate. And so people have to create a wallet, deposit onto like an exchange, move it to a wallet, then move it into whatever game it is. That friction that you have right there over time obviously is going to be solved, but you incur a lot of costs along the way when you do that. And on Solana specifically, that's trivially or minimal.
Yeah, so the CEO of Electronic Arts, EA, like recently said like the future of gaming that he believes is that play to earn NFTs are going to be part of the games that EA and some of these AAA game studios will be building. So I'm kind of curious how you guys see NFTs evolving, since mostly right now people know NFTs as a profile picture, a JPEG, but I see much more utility and especially occurring in gaming. So I'm kind of curious your thoughts on how NFTs will evolve over time and how they are in gaming.
Yeah. Well, I think like high level, right? When you think about traditional gaming, gamers are already native to like soft currency because there's like gold and riot points and combat points. And in game, there's already like digital assets. You're running around World of Warcraft and you're collecting your legendary staff or your epic, helmet. These things can all be represented in NFTs. These things that you earn, that you put in hundreds of hours or thousands of hours to grind. I think the special thing with NFTs is it's transferable. And I think there's a unique future in gaming and crypto gaming where, hey, how do you make these assets that you earn over time live and make it immutable on the blockchain, and how do you make it transfer from game to game? And I think like that's like a really, really interesting thing to think about.
Absolutely. And to add to that, I think the idea of ownership in that, well, a digital asset that you might purchase within the game, well, why keep it within the game or in another game? Why not bring it out to other utilities? And I think that's going to unlock a lot of creativity.
Exactly. I think like tacking on what you just said is you also unlock a second life to all these things that you spend money on. I've spent hundreds of dollars on my skins or like building up my character or building up my base. When the game dies, it disappears. And it allows you to offload that and bring it to another ecosystem or another universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so with like play to earn, like regular people own the game. And do you ever see the point that a game could never die built on the blockchain, that these assets belong to the actual users and they're actually invested in it? There's also these DeFi economies built in that connect to real money. And do you ever envision a world that a game could actually live on for a decade or decades actually built on the blockchain?
I'm not sophisticated enough to understand like what component needs to be built on the blockchain for a game to live on, basically past a decade or past a century. But I know at least like the asset or the representation of your work that's done in the game can live on. You can create a symbolic layer of saying, hey, this NFT is a representation of that achievement, and you mint it, you put it on the blockchain, and when people look at that, it's like, oh, that's representative. Or like, let's just say like in World of Warcraft, you earned a Thunder Fury, and that Thunder Fury becomes an NFT. Now it's in your wallet, and when people see that Thunder Fury in your wallet, it's like, oh wow, to get that Thunder Fury, it took your guild thousands of raids, and I don't know how much resources to build it. And it's like that representation of achievement that's really important to me.
Yeah, so what's like the biggest challenges for developers to be onboarded to be building games that are actually crypto games? And so I've seen like some projects like Stardust, for example, are helping with the minting process of getting these indie game studios to AAA game studios to be able to actually have NFTs made for them and do it pretty easily. So I'm kind of curious what other challenges, or that being a challenge, and your thoughts around getting the developers to go into this Web3 journey with us.
After talking to many gaming studios in the past few months, I think one, it comes down to that the idea that there really isn't a big hurdle. I think the idea of Web3 may seem daunting at first, but those that are, take the time to actually understand that it's not that much of a difference, and for those, folks who interact with the Web3 community to learn that it can be an easy transition, I think that removes a lot. And after that, I think, really flexing their creativity in whatever they like to do, I think Web3 just opens up a lot more doors. So I think, yeah, it's going to be, I think it's quickly shifting where now with also gaming studios like EA publicly saying that NFTs and blockchain are really it. We definitely expect a lot more gaming studios to come.
Yeah, I agree. And to add on a little bit, like as a new entrant to the space, I've gone through the process of like learning about crypto and like understanding. It's like, hey, how should games be built on the blockchain? My initial thought is going in, oh, how do you build a complete game on the blockchain? And over time, I've actually like taken a step back and really realized is like, hey, what utility does a blockchain solves for a video game? You can still build a game the way it is, and then you say, hey, what is blockchain solving for this game? Is it because you need to market make an auction house and get like really like live pricing? Or how do you transfer like tokens on the game off chain? And so you don't have to build everything on game. And there's like an education process of like, hey, what game are you building? And where can you utilize the blockchain to solve for or enhance what you're currently doing?
Mm-hmm. Well, so when do you guys expect us to finally have like 1 million users, like daily active users on Solana? And have you guys ever thought about like when that timeline would happen? Or could it be next year or 2022? Or would that even be further?
I think it's going to happen very, very soon. As we know, games like Star Atlas, Aurora, and many others to follow are quickly building away. And I believe that once the Web2 community understands that these are AAA gaming titles or innovative games that just cannot be found in Web2, I believe the masses will come very soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I don't know how long it's going to be. I think for at least soon, because if you think about the pipeline, right, there's 200 to 500 games that's in the pipeline that's going to go, be blockchain gaming or blockchain gaming studios. And games inherently just have a lot of concurrent users because if you're not playing with anybody, it's not that fun. And my hope is that at least one of those 500 games is going to be a big hit with hundreds of thousands of concurrent. And if there's 2 big hits, it can be a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm. So Dan, you have had like a really long career in like competitive esports gaming. Do you ever see like esports gaming tournaments will eventually align with like play to earn? Or I'm kind of curious of your thoughts around like competitive gaming and play to earn and some of those models.
Absolutely, I think like the way you can build like the system is you can make it so players at the top percentile can earn more than the bottom percentile. And as developer, you need to understand, it's like, hey, what's that percentage? What's that distribution? And you can naturally build in the incentive models for players to want to play your game and create the aspiration to get really good by incentivizing that earn model for players at the top. And I think that it could be an even more efficient model.
Mm-hmm. So what can we do better right now to be able to have like mass adoption right now? And what do you see as like the biggest hurdles and friction points?
For gaming and esports specifically?
Yeah, and that and like elsewhere too.
I think like the first step is you need a reliable game that's proven out with a tremendous user base and an audience with a demand for viewership. Once you have a game that can actually be watched and has a lot of people watching, then esports naturally is going to come next. And it helps facilitate that if you think about it from the beginning. How do I build a game that is playable and viewable? I think those two are like really important first steps.
Okay.
To add to that, I believe the gaming community needs to understand better what is blockchain, what is crypto, what is NFT. I think we as a community here can do better in terms of sharing that knowledge and making it more intuitive, because once they understand, I think, again, the creativity will truly unlock, lead to better games, lead to more users, and mass adoption.
And I think the gaming community is ready, just because the gaming community innately understands soft currency. The gaming community innately understands digital assets. They've been buying soft currency and digital assets for years. It's just like, hey, how do you create ownership in these things outside of the game?
So do you have any thoughts why like mainstream adoption didn't happen sooner until like Axie, and it still hasn't gone to the point that like everyone in the world is playing like blockchain games, and why has mass adoption not occurred yet but will?
Well, the biggest thing is you need a fun game. When I was describing play to earn earlier, I was describing play as an activity that you do for fun and pleasure. And so I think the next wave is when somebody cracks it and say, hey, this game is actually really fun. I would play it even if I don't earn, but it's a big plus that now I can earn as well.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree. I don't really have much to add to that. I mean, it has to be fun. It has to be fun, and I think, once that is there, whatever game mechanics, whatever in-game economics, whatever it may be, I think it just has to be fun first.
Yeah, I think the best developers hasn't seen what's the blockchain is capable of, and now they're starting to see. And so you're seeing a lot more energy devoted towards this side. And so we'll see something soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like mass adoption in crypto has not come all from DeFi. Like, I still, for like Solana, the majority of the projects are DeFi projects. And like every single hackathon, like the DeFi category is where the majority of people are building. But the interesting thing is lately, even gaming has started to grow on Solana, and the Solana projects in the gaming category was even higher for his previous Ignition hackathon. And there seems to be a lot of people interested in play to earn now. And it seems like the strongest communities are like the NFT communities right now. So like the first like group that had a DAO that's actually is going to have on-chain voting for Solana is like Monkey DAO and like the Fugbirds DAO. And it seems like the DAOs and communities are strongest in the NFT world. So do you see that happening with gaming when you mix these experiences in the gaming world with the NFT communities that seem to have some of the strongest communities in the blockchain world?
I missed the question, and so can you?
Yeah. So what are you expecting when you mix, I guess, NFT communities with gaming? And are you expecting these really impactful communities that are doing really interesting projects?
I think the idea of community becomes amplified in that, as we know, when it comes to NFT projects, drops, communities, you have X number of NFT holders that feel like they're part of something.
Got it.
A group, a tribe, a community. And then if that then translates into a game later, and others also come in.
That makes sense.
Well, now you're taking an existing community, amplifying it into a gaming community with more to come. I mean, at that point, anything's possible.
Yeah, I think I get your question now. I think like coming from the traditional NFT space, the way I see that culture is when you buy an NFT or a PFP, you're joining a community and you get really excited about that. It's about building community and building culture. And you see that in traditional gaming with like esports teams and clans and guilds. And so I see a very, very natural crossover. And I think that once you introduce gaming to the blockchain, you'll naturally have those type of community and that really, really strong culture building. And I think that it's going to be a natural transition.
Okay, nice. And so you've probably seen a lot of glitches or hacking in gaming. And so when you start to mix actual money with these games that are play to earn, do you envision any issues, and how can we prevent any like malicious actors from gaming these play to earn games?
Yeah, I mean, I lose a lot of sleep on that question every single night, and I try and answer it. Because imagine you create a game where the core loop is basic enough where you can create like thousands or hundreds of thousands of bots that really dilutes the experience of the game and really inflates the value of the currency, right? How do you combat that? My initial take to that is you do a lock on when you can cash out or take the token out. So you can vet, it's like, hey, what's the behavior of this wallet or this token holder? Is it a bot? But it becomes a little bit too centralized because now you're deciding, it's like, hey, that guy is a bot, that guy is a hacker. And so those are things we're still trying to answer.
As big of a priority as to make the game fun, I think security, fraud, those kind of factors need to be considered from the get-go. Given that a lot of blockchain games are starting off as an NFT drop, as we know, in the NFT world, there's a lot of bot issues. So to combat that from the very beginning, I think will ultimately lead to less to worry about when we're on the gaming side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we thought about like, hey, what does it look like if we KYC all of our user base? Would people flip their, or are people okay with that, right? And so there's a lot of things to balance and really figure out, what's the best route to combat this.
Yeah, definitely. And so what are you guys most excited about right now? And is there any games that are being built that you see as the future of gaming and you're really excited to get your hands on and play?
I think for me, I think about it back to like, hey, what does the early 2000 gaming landscape look like when it transitioned into mobile and then it transitioned to like free to play? I think what you're gonna see is a lot of like really basic arcade type games. When like the App Store started on the iPhone, it was just really like flick shooter. It was like Frogger types games, and so those are things that you can implement quickly, fill the gap short term, and then as you go, you push it down like to the 6 month, 1 year. You'll see more and more complex game, and I think it's about like funneling and pipelining. You need an array of different types of games and different complexity over time, and I think that. It's nice to have the Start Atlas that's going to come out in 5 years. But you want a game that's going to come out in 3 years, in 2 years, in 1 year, in 6 months. And so when we have that pipeline filled out, I think the ecosystem is going to get really robust.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I think everyone's excited for Star Atlas. But on the Netflix side, we recently partnered with a gaming studio called Neon Heroes. So we're really excited about that project and that strong founders and NFT drops to start and a great game coming out later. But apart from that, I grew up a big-time console gamer.
Yeah.
I think I've owned just about every console, and I can't wait to see Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo enter this space in their own way. And once they do, I think it's going to cement that blockchain game is here to stay.
Yeah, I think like more on that is I think like crossplay is really important. Right now, the most efficient or effective way is to do it on a browser, connect your wallet. But what type of games? There are certain types of games where you need to kind of focus all the time. Like for example, like a Clash of Clans. What if somebody attacks your base and you're not at your computer? How do you like defend against that? So I think like once you can get to mobile, to desktop, to console, where you can access your game, your wallet, your characters, then that's going to be a game changer.
So what type of game studio do you think is going to lead on the innovation front? Is it going to be like a AAA game studio, or is it going to be like a mid studio, or even an indie studio? I'm kind of curious, like who do you envision being at the forefront of bringing mass adoption?
I think that there's different segments to that question, right? I don't know how many people play like Candy Crush, but it's a relatively basic game that doesn't take a lot of time to develop. And there are ginormous games like a Call of Duty or a League of Legends that takes a long time to build. And so there's going to be winners attacking each of these segments. There's going to be a smaller market where it's a shorter development cycle. And then there's going to be a middle development cycle and like a AAA type. And so each of those markets are up for grabs for 2 or 3 mega studios to emerge from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally really excited about games that will expand the definition of what a game is. In that I think most people think about gaming as in front of a computer mobile phone or a console, but games like Pokemon. The idea of being outside, moving around, collecting items, I think that unlocked a different idea of what a game can be. So, from Solana Metaplex, we have another partner called GenoPets, Move to Earn, and I'm really excited for that game as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, do you guys have any other thoughts at all, or?
I think I'm just like overly optimistic about this space. It's not going to be a straight path or an easy path. Actually, I think it's going to be a really, really hard path to go down. But it's like at the end of the road, I see this as Web3 is like how I feel about when the internet started when I was a young kid, and I was too young and not knowledgeable about enough to make something out of. And I think I see this opportunity here where you can really build something big and meaningful, and really like the idea of like everybody having a stake or ownership is just very powerful.
Yeah, I guess those are pretty much ends our talk today, and we can move on to our next session. And yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Nice.
Yeah.